So you have a budget of $1,000 or perhaps a little bit more, $2,000, and you're wondering what camera you should be buying right now, today. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what sort of cameras are available out there within your budget range. Some of the cameras I mentioned in a video last year, I'll still be talking about today, but the big thing that has changed is that the price, unfortunately, has increased on almost all of the cameras that I mentioned last year and I'll be talking about today. Usually cameras, as they get older, they get cheaper because new models come out and all of that. Unfortunate situation, but it is what it is for now. So I'll be going over cameras and the different price ranges, and at the end of each category, I'll tell you the ones that I would consider picking up. So stay tuned to find out which ones I would get. So under $1,000, let's start with the Canon R50, which came out in 2023. Price today, unfortunately, it's a little bit more expensive, $779. It has a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor. In terms of some of the pros is that it's a very compact camera. It has 4K at 30 frames per second. It has really good autofocus. It has a vertical movie mode feature, and it can shoot in 10-bit HDR PQ video, but not to be confused with normal 422 10-bit video. In terms of some of the cons, although this has improved, there's still limited selection of RF lenses in the market as compared to other brands. There's no 4K at 60 frames per second, no IBIS or in-body image stabilization. It's only 8-bit video, also no log filming, and it lacks a full mechanical shutter. Next up, we have the Nikon Z30, which came out in 2022. It is an APS-C camera with a 20.2 megapixel sensor. It can shoot up to 4K at 30 frames per second. It has a tally lamp and also a weather sealed body. In terms of some of the drawbacks, it does not have in-body image stabilization, no viewfinder, there's no log, and also only 8-bit video. The next one is the Fujifilm X-M5. And this is a 26 megapixel camera with an APS-C sensor. This one has a lot of pros in my opinion. The main one being that you can shoot 6.2K open gate up to 30 frames per second. You have a mic and a headphone port, Fujifilm's film simulation modes. You can shoot in f-log2 and 422 10-bit color. And the sensor that this camera uses is actually similar to the one in more expensive models. In terms of some of the cons is there is no in-body image stabilization. There's a heavy crop with digital stabilization. The next one is the Canon R10, which came out in 2022. It is an APS-C camera with a 24 megapixel sensor. It is compact. It can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second with a crop. It has good autofocus and it can do HDR 10-bit video. Again, not to be confused with 422 10-bit video. In terms of some of the cons is that there is still limited RF lenses selection, although that is slightly improving now. There is no headphone port, no in-body image stabilization, no log, and only 8-bit video. The next one is the Sony CVE-10 Mark II. As of this year, this one has slightly overpassed the $1,000 mark, which last year was under the $1,000 budget range, but now it costs about $1,200. It is an APS-C camera with a 26 megapixel sensor. It can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second with a slight crop. It has dual native ISO, it has LUT support, it has log shooting, S-Log3, 422 10-bit color, a mic, and also a headphone port. Another pro is that right now there are a ton of lens options out there for Sony cameras. In terms of some of the cons is that there is no in-body image stabilization, no mechanical shutter, and no viewfinder. The next one on this list is the Nikon Z50 Mark II, which came out in 2024. It is also an APS-C camera with a 20 megapixel sensor. This camera is also packed with features. Some of the most notable ones are that it can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second with a crop. It has 422 10-bit video, autofocus is quite good. It has pre-release capture, it has an autofocus engine that is found in its more expensive siblings, and it also has a mic and a headphone port. In terms of some of the cons, it does not have in-body image stabilization. Reports claim that battery life is kind of limited. Honorary mentioned in this list is the Canon PowerShot V1, which came out in 2025. This is a 22 megapixel camera, but it has a smaller sensor compared to the rest of the cameras in this list. It has a tight 1.4 inch sensor. Some of the pros of this camera is that It is the most compact and small of this list. It can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second with a crop. It has built-in 3 stops of ND. You can shoot in log, you can shoot 10-bit video. It has a mic and headphone jack. And if you're shooting photos, it can shoot up to 30 frames per second. In terms of some of the drawbacks is that it is a fixed lens camera, meaning that you cannot detach the lens and you cannot swap the lens. And it also has high rolling shutter. So from this list, if you wanted more of a point and shoot camera, then the Canon PowerShot V1 is a really good option. But if you wanted something where you can swap lenses, from this list, I would pick either the Sony CV-E10 Mark II, Nikon Z50 Mark II, or the Fuji X-M5. In my opinion, all of these three are packed with a ton of features for both photo and video. For me, because I have a ton of Sony lenses right now, I'll probably go with the Sony CV-E10 Mark II. However, the Nikon and the Fuji are very, very attractive and compelling, particularly the Fuji X-M5 with 6.2K open gate recording, and also the very popular film simulation modes. Which one would you pick from this list? Let me know below. If this list is starting to get very long and a little bit overwhelming, I'll also be including all of the links to all of these cameras in the description below. So when you have a moment, you can just go and check each of them one by one and to see which one will suit your needs and your budget. So if you have a little bit more money, between $1,000 to $2,000, here are some cameras that you could consider. So first on this list, we have the Fuji X-S20. It is an APS-C camera with a 26 megapixel sensor. In terms of some of the pros is that it has 6.2K open gate, up to 30 frames per second. You can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second with no crop. There is in-body image stabilization. It has good battery life. You can shoot in log, and also it has 422 10-bit color. In terms of some of the cons is autofocus seems not to be as good as the competition, and there is no weather sealing. The next camera is the Sony a6700. It is a 26 megapixel APS-C camera. This is a feature-packed camera now, even though it's a few years old. It can shoot 4K up to 120 frames per second with no crop. You can shoot in log in 422 10-bit color. It has great autofocus. It has in-body image stabilization. There's lots of lens options. It has dual native ISO. In terms of cons, I wasn't able to find any. So yeah. Next camera in this video is the Canon R8. This is a 24 megapixel full frame camera. In terms of some of the pros, it is a weather sealed camera and you get 4K up to 60 frames per second with no crop. It has great autofocus. You can shoot in log and also 422 10-bit color. Some of the cons is that it does not have in-body image stabilization and battery life is a little bit limited. Next one is the Fujifilm X-T5, which came out in 2022. This is an APS-C camera and it has 40 megapixels. You can shoot in 6.2K up to 30 frames per second, 4K up to 60 frames per second with a slight crop. It has log and you can shoot in 422 10-bit. In-body image stabilization. It is weather sealed. It has dual card slots and you can even record raw video externally. In terms of some of the cons, it does not have a fully articulating screen. Video quality and autofocus are not as good as the competition and it is prone to rolling shutter. The next one on this list is another Fuji. It is the Fuji X-H2. As of today, unfortunately, it's a little bit more over the $2,000 range now. Last year was still under 2,000, but today it's 2,300 US dollars. This is a 40 megapixel APS-C camera. It can shoot 4K up to 30 frames per second, 4K up to 60 with a slight crop. It has in-body image stabilization. It has a weather sealed body, and you're able to also shoot in log and also 422 10-bit color. You also have a full-size HDMI slot, dual card slot, and raw video. In terms of some of the cons, autofocus seems not to be as good as the competition and it's prone to high rolling shutter as well. Next, we have the Panasonic Lumix S5 Mark II. This is a full frame camera with 24 megapixels and it costs about $2,000. This one is packed with video-centric features with 6K open gate recording, 4K up to 60 frames per second. You have log, 10-bit video, LUT support, extensive video monitoring tools. It has dual card slots, in-body image stabilization, a cooling fan, and a full-size HDMI port. Some of the cons is that the autofocus is not as good as the competition. The battery life is not as good. The next one is the Canon R7. It is an APS-C camera with 32.5 megapixels. You can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second. However, the con is that this has a slight crop. It has environmental sealing, dual card slots, in-body image stabilization. You can shoot in log, and it also has 422 10-bit color. Some of the cons is that it has a high rolling shutter and there are less lens options. The next one is the Lumix S9. This is a 24 megapixel full frame camera, which costs about $1,500 US. You can shoot up to 6K at 30 frames per second in open gate. There is an extensive range of video resolutions on this camera. It has in-body image stabilization. It is also a very compact and small body. It has log filming and also 422 10-bit color. Some of the cons is that it is not really catered for photographers. Autofocus tracking is not as good. It has a little bit of a high rolling shutter. Another thing too is that it has no headphone jack. Next one is Nikon Z5 Mark II. It is a full frame 24.5 megapixel camera. You can shoot at 4K up to 60 frames per second, albeit with a slight crop. It has in-body image stabilization. There is log filming and also in-RAW video. There is 422 10-bit color. You can shoot up to 11 frames per second with the mechanical shutter and up to 30 frames per second in JPEG. In terms of some of the cons is that it has an APS-C crop of 1.5 times in 4K 60. There is some rolling shutter and autofocus in video is not as good as the competition. Next one is a Nikon ZF, which came out in 2023. This camera is a little bit over the $2,000 range now at about $2,200. It is a 24.5 megapixel full frame camera. It has 4K up to 30 frames per second. It has a very classic, cool retro design. It has in-body image stabilization. It has N-Log as well as 422 10-bit color. Very good autofocus, up to 11 frames per second if shooting in RAW. And it also has a high resolution mode of up to 96 megapixels. In terms of some of the cons is that even though it has dual card slots, the second card slot is not another SD, it's actually a micro SD card slot. So that could be a bit of a limitation. And the last one on this list is the OM System 3, which came out in 2025. It has a 20 megapixel stacked micro four thirds sensor. In terms of some of the pros is that you can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second, Full HD up to 240 frames per second. Similar to the Nikon ZF, it also has a very classic and retro design. It has in-body image stabilization, OM log, 420 10-bit color. It has a weather sealing of an IP of 53, very low rolling shutter, very good battery life, and extensive computational photography modes that you cannot find in other brands. Some of the cons are that it is a smaller sensor, it is a micro four thirds sensor, and also autofocus tracking is not as good as the competition. If you're primarily into video, I think the Lumix S9 is a very solid camera because of all its video-centric features that it has. It is pretty much a tiny mini cinema camera. If you're more of a hybrid shooter, then the Nikon Z5 Mark II or the Sony a6700 are both great choices. The benefit with the Nikon is that you get a full frame sensor compared to the a6700, which is an APS-C sensor. If you wanted a camera that had a more classic look, the Nikon ZF is a very good option. If you wanted something that had better computational photography modes, despite having a smaller sensor, then the OM System 3 might be another good one as well. I recently took the OM3 actually on a trip to Vietnam, so I made a video about my experience using that camera. If you wanted to find out more about that, I'll leave that in the description somewhere. But yeah, those are my recommendations from this category. Let me know which one of these cameras you would pick and consider. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And as a bit of a bonus, there are a few cameras that are slightly over the $2,000 mark, but I think are worth including in this video. So the first one is the Sony a7C Mark II, which came out in 2023. It is a full frame camera with 33 megapixels. This camera can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second with a crop. It has an AI processing unit. You can shoot in log and also 422 10-bit color. It has great autofocus, LUT support, and it is weather sealed and also has a lot of lens options. In terms of some of the cons, it's only a one card slot camera. There's no full-size HDMI support and it is prone to rolling shutter. The next one is the Sony CVE1, which came out also in 2023. It is a full frame camera with 12 megapixels. You can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second with no crop. It has in-body image stabilization. You can shoot in log and also 422 10-bit color. It has great autofocus, a lot of lens options, and also LUT support. Some of the cons, again, it also has one card slot, no full-size HDMI port, there is no viewfinder, and no mechanical shutter. And the last one on this list is the very revolutionary Nikon ZR, which came out in 2025. This camera is about $2,200 US. It is a full frame 24.5 megapixel camera. This camera is also packed with an extensive list of video features. It shoots 6K up to 60 frames per second. If you didn't know, you get Red RAW. If you didn't know, Red is a cinema camera brand that was recently acquired by Nikon, and now you get Red inside a Nikon, which is pretty neat. You get Nikon RAW and also ProRes RAW, all in this tiny $2,200 camera. It has a massive 4-inch screen, 32-bit float, internal audio recording, which is really crazy, and I think it's the first camera that has such a feature, and again, a plethora of video features. Some of the cons is that it has no EVF, it has a micro HDMI port, and not as photography friendly. So from this list, slightly above the $2,000 mark, if you were solely into video or primarily into video, I think the Nikon ZR is pretty much a no-brainer. If you wanted something that's more hybrid, either one of the two Sonys might be a good fit as well. Hopefully this video helped you, and if it did, it'll be greatly appreciated if you hit the like button and subscribe below. Let me know as well if there's a camera that was not in this list that you think should be included. Drop it down in the comments below. I'll be happy to hear about it. So that's it for this video, and if you're still watching, here are a couple more videos you can watch next, and I'll see you there.